I'm Daisy Aliego together with my group, Beverly Florin Concepcion and John Gabriel Homigo. We are Group 10 and today we will discuss global demography. Global demography, it is the study of human population around the world. Sinusuri nito kung paano dumadami, bumababa, tumatanda o lumilipat ang mga tao sa iba't ibang lugar. It is to understanding global demography, it is help us to analyze important issues such as economic, development, healthcare, education, migration, and environmental sustainability. As we go through to this presentation, we will learn paano ang pagbabago ng mga populasyon ng mundo at ano ang epekto nito sa iba't ibang bansa. So, let us first define global demography. The global demography focuses on how the human population changes across the planet. The story of our global population is shifting from a narrative of explosive expansion to one of rapid aging and geographic divergence. So, meaning to say, ito yung pag-aaral kung paano ang populasyon sa buong mundo, kasama rito yung bilang ng tao, edad ng populasyon, birth rate o dami ng pinapanganak, death rate o dami ng namamatay, at migration o paglipat ng mga tao sa ibang lugar. Nung nakaraan, mabilis ang paglaki ng populasyon ng mundo. Pero sa kasalukuyan, bumabagal na ang populasyon growth sa maraming bansa. May mga bansang tumatanda na ang populasyon dahil sa kakaunti na ang pinapanganak, habang may mga bansang patuloy pa rin lumalaki ang populasyon dahil mataas pa rin yung birth rate. Dahil dito, nagkakaroon tayo ng iba't ibang hamon at oportunidad ang bawat bansa pagdating sa ekonomiya at lipunan. On this slide, key global indicators, dito natin to a better understanding the current state of the world's population. No? Let's look at some key global indicators for 2026. Para mas maintindihan natin ang kalagayan ng populasyon ngayon, una, ang kabuuang populasyon ng mundo ay humigit kumulang 8.3 billion people. Pangalawa, ang annual growth rate ay 0.84%. Ibig sabihin, lumalaki pa rin ang populasyon pero hindi na kasing bilis noon. And then, the third, ang median age ng mundo ay 31.1 years old. Ibig sabihin, kalahati ng populasyon ng mas bata sa 31 at kalahati naman ang mas matanda rito. Pang-apat, yung fertility rate ay 2.2 births per human. Ito yung average na bilang ng anak na pinapanganak ng isang babae. At panghuli, 58.5% ng populasyon ng mundo ay nakatira sa urban area at sa syudad. Makikita natin dito na patuloy yung populasyon, ngunit unti-unti namang bumabagal ang paglaki nito. On this slide, let us look at the five most populous countries in the world. So, kasama rito yung India, China, United States, Indonesia at Pakistan. Napakahalaga ng mga bansang ito dahil malaki naging bahagi ng populasyon ng mundo ay matatagpuan sa kanila. For example, ang India at China palamang ay may mahigit 2 bilyong mamamayan na. Pero, magkaiba ang kanilang demographic situation. Ang China nakakaranas ng mababang birth rate at tumatandang populasyon, habang yung India naman ay mayroon pa ring malaking bilang ng kabataang populasyon. Dahil dito, malaki yung impluwensya ng mga bansang ito sa pandaigdigang ekonomiya, labor force at paggamit ng mga likas na yaman. On the next slide, so, let us now discuss the global population outlook. Pag-uusapan natin ngayon, ayon sa mga pag-aaral, patuloy pa ring dumarami yung mga populasyon sa mundo, ngunit mas mabagal ng paglaki nito kumpara noon. Isa sa mga dahilan nito ay yung pagbaba ng fertility rate sa maraming bansa, mas kaunti na yung pinapanganak kumpara nung nakaraan. And then, kasabay nito, humahaba naman din yung buhay ng mga tao dahil sa mas maayos na healthcare at pamumuhay. Dahil dito, dumarami rin yung bilang ng matatanda sa populasyon. Ang mga pagbabagong ito ay epekto din sa trabaho, ekonomiya, healthcare at mga serbisyong kailangan ng mga mamayan. Kaya mahalagang maunawaan ang global population outlook upang para makagawa tayo ng mga plano at policies na makakatulong sa mga susunod na generation. Now that we are understand the current and future population trends, let us move on to the demographic transition theory that will explain of the next report.
Next topic would be the demographic transition theory. This theory is a universal paradigm describing the historical shift of human populations from a traditional state of high fertility and mortality to a modern state of low fertility and mortality. So think of this theory like a story map of how a country population changes as it grows, modernize and builds better technology. So population growth kasi is driven by the asynchronous timing of two demographic shifts. Death rates always drop first, followed by the birth rates after a temporary lag. So historically kasi, every country starts with high birth rates and high death rates. But over time, they transition into a modern state wherein parehas ang birth at death rates ay mababa. The big takeaway is that death rate always drop first. And then birth rates takes a little while naman to catch up. And this is this lag time is what causes a population to grow rapidly. And there is there are five stages of demographic transition because countries doesn't change naman overnight. They move distinct stages sa pagbabago nito. So, we're gonna start with the stage 1 or the pre-industrial. So, ano bang nangyayari sa stage 1? So, what happened is lots of babies are born. Pero marami ring tao ang namamatay dahil sa sakit at kakulangan sa medisina. At ang nangyayari sa stage na to, ang population dito, dahil nga because birth and deaths cancel each other out in this stage, yung population stays small and steady or high stationary. And then, we're gonna go move to stage 2, yung tinatawag na early transitioning or yung rapid expansion. Ang nangyayari naman dito, the country gets better food, cleaner water, and basic healthcare. As a result, bumababa yung death rates. Pero, marami pa ring pamilya are still having lots of babies. Ano nangyayari ngayon sa population? Nag-boom. At nagke-create to ng massive population explosion. Now, moving to stage 3 or yung tinatawag na late transitioning or yung slowing expansion, ang nangyayari naman dito, the culture changes. Maraming tao ang nagmo-move sa cities or yung tinatawag na urbanization. And then, ang mga babae, mas may access na sila sa education and birth control, mas nagiging available na. So, anong nangyayari? Birth rates begin to fall quickly. Ngayon, ang population, lumalaki pa rin, pero mas mabagal na kumpara sa dati. And then, we're gonna move to the stage 4, post-industrial stage. Nangyayari naman dito, the country is fully modernized. Birth rates and death rates are both very low. Kaya low stationary ang population natin dito kasi yung growth levels of and stabilizes. But the country now has a much larger population than it did in stage 1. Now, what happened naman in stage 5 or yung the declining or sub-displacement, people choose naman to have a very few children to the point where the birth rate drops below the death rate na. At ang population here actually begins to shrink. So, those are the 5 stages and we're gonna move sa demographic dividends naman. So, demographic dividends is the economic sweet spot or yung parang population bonus ng isang country. Ito yung window kung saan ang isang bansa, it has the perfect balance ng tao. Maximum workers, minimum dependents, both sa children and elderly groups. So, when a country is moving from stage 3 to stage 4, remember, something amazing happens in these stages. Malaki rin yung pagbabago sa economy dahil ang birth rates here bumaba. There are fewer children to take care of. And because of it, it hasn't been long enough yet, there aren't many elderly people either. And this leaves the country with a massive sweet spot where yung working age population na 15 to 64 mas malaki, larger than the young and old populations na combined. And eto, nagdadala to ng two benefits. So, ano yung una? Yung first, dividend. A huge boost in economic growth and productivity simply because maraming tao yung nagtatrabaho. And then second is the pivot to human capital. Because the families are smaller, parents and governments can spend more money on each individual child's education and healthcare. This shifts the country from basic manual labor to a high paying knowledge based economy. And that's it for me. Gab will discuss next the real world applications of this theory, which regions are caught up in this trend and the contemporary issues. Next reporter po.
Good day everyone. So this is my part, the two defining trends. Based on this slide, makikita natin na may dalawang major demographic trends na nangyayari sa mundo ngayon. Sa left side, makikita natin ang sub-replacement, fertility, and aging, which is common sa mga developed countries tulad ng Japan, South Korea, Italy, and China. Ang ibig sabihin ng sub-replacement fertility ay mas mababa na sa 2.1 children per woman ang average birth rate. Dahil dito, kumukonti ang pinapanganak habang dumadami naman ang matatanda. Makikita rin sa graph na habang tumatagal, patuloy tumataas ang aging population. Ang epekto nito ay ang pagliit ng workforce, mas maraming retirees, at mas malaki ang gastos ng gobyerno sa healthcare, pension, and social service. Sa kabilang side naman ay ang youth bulge na makikita sa sub-Saharan Africa at ilang bahagi ng South Asia. Dito naman kabaliktaran ang sitwasyon. Napakaraming kabataan at mabilis ang population growth. Ayon sa United Nations, may humigit kumulang na 1.3 billion people na nasa edad 15 to 24. Kaya ito ang pinakamalaking youth generation sa history. Malaking opportunity ito dahil kung mabibigyan sila ng quality education at sapat na trabaho, maaari silang magkaroon ng demographic dividend, meaning mas lalago ang economy. Pero kung kulang ang opportunities, maaring ito mag-result sa mataas na unemployment at magdami ng migration. Dahil magkaiba ang demographic situation ng bawat bansa, kailangan din nilang gumawa ng iba't ibang policies para ma-address ang kanilang challenges. Ito naman ang makikita natin sa next slide. First one is high fertility and rapid growth countries. Para sa mga bansang mabilis ang population growth, ang priority nila ay ang human capital investment. Kailangan nilang mag-invest sa education lalo na sa primary at secondary education para maging productive ang future workforce. Kasama rin dito ang pagpapalakas ng healthcare infrastructure tulad ng maternal healthcare, child immunization at family planning. At syempre, kailangan din gumawa ng mas maraming trabaho at economic reforms para magkaroon ng opportunities ang lumalaking population. Next is ultra-low fertility and aging crisis. Samantala, ang developed countries naman ay nahaharap sa aging crisis. Dahil mababa ang birth rate, mas marami ang matatanda kaysa sa mga kabataang nagkatrabaho. Ito ang dahilan kung bakit bumabagal ang economic growth at tumataas ang pressure sa healthcare, pension at social security system. The next one is the global bridge. Ngayon, paano naman masosolusyonan ang dalawang magkaibang problemang ito? Dito pumapasok ang managed migration na nagsisilbing tulay sa pagitan ng mga bansang kulang sa workers at mga bansang maraming young workers. First one is the immigration as an economic lifeline. Ang mga stage 5 countries tulad ng Japan at Italy ay kulang na sa workers dahil tumatanda na ang kanilang population. Kaya, kailangan nilang magkaroon ng maayos na immigration policies para makapag-attract ng skilled at semi-skilled workers mula sa stage 2 at stage 3 countries. Sa ganitong paraan, napupunan ang kakulangan sa workers lalo na sa healthcare, elderly care at iba pang essential job. Habang tumataas din ang bilang ng taxpayers na tumutulong sa kanilang economy. Next is the brain drain mitigation. Pero may challenge din dito na tinatawag na brain drain. Ito ay kapag ang skilled professional tulad ng doctors, nurse, engineers at IT professional ay umaalis ng kanilang bansa para magtrabaho abroad. Para hindi maging problema, kailangan gumawa ng policies ang origin countries para makinabang pa rin sila. Example for this is sa pamamagitan ng remittance na ipinapadala ng OFW sa kanilang pamilya. Paghikayat sa diaspora na mag-invest sa kanilang home country o pagpabalik nila dala ang bagong knowledge, technology, and experience. Next is Global Demography Snapshot. Global demography is a study of the world's population. It shows kung paano lumalaki at nagbabago at paano ito nakakaapekto sa iba't ibang bansa. As we can see in our infographic, the world's population is now around 8.3 billion people. Although the population is still increasing, hindi na ito kasing bilis ng paglaki compared to the past. Next is 58.5% of the world's population lives in cities. Ibig sabihin, mas marami ng tao ang nakatira sa urban areas because of better job opportunities, education, healthcare, and other services. The next data is the median age, which is 31.1 years old. This means that half of the world's population is younger than 31 years old, while the other half is older. Moving on to the global total fertility rate or TFR, which is 2.2. This is the average number of children a woman is expected to have during their lifetime. Since the fertility rate is decreasing, maraming countries ang nakakaranas ng lower birth rates. Lastly, we have a world of divergence. This means that different countries are facing different demographic situation. Some countries have an aging population while others have a growing youth population. Because of this, each country has different challenges and needs different policies to address them. Next is conclusion. Global demography shows that the world's population is still growing, but not as fast as before. Some countries are dealing with aging populations and declining birth rates, while others continue to grow because they have younger population. These demographic changes affect many aspects of society such as economy, healthcare, education, employment, and even migration. That's why understanding global demography is very important. It helps government, business, and communities prepare for the future challenges and make better decisions for sustainable development. To sum it up, by understanding population trends today, we can create better plans and policies that will improve the quality of life for the future generations. The next slides are the reference. And that's all for our presentation. Thank you for listening.